All right, so we now want to find the effect of a subsidy on the supply and demand curve. Remember, a subsidy is when the government makes a payment or gives financial aids to firms or businesses within a country. Maybe that sector of the business is facing challenges, so government helps out businesses and firms in that sector by providing them with subsidies. All right, so we're going to see what happens when government puts a per unit subsidy of 10 kwacha. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do first is we're going to determine our equilibrium price and our equilibrium quantity. So step one, we are going to equate the equations, the functions, right? So we have QD. So we say this, we say QS equals QD. Oops, that's an ugly looking D. All right. So QS is 500 plus 8P equals 3000 minus 2P. So we're going to find first our equilibrium price by solving for the variable P, which represents price. All right. So we're going to equate like terms together. So we say we'll take this -2 over the equal sign, and this 500 also it will go over the equal sign. So we're going to say 8P plus 2P equals 3000 minus 500. 8P plus 2P, that's 10P. 3000 minus 500, we get 2500. Right, find the value of P, we divide both sides by 10. Right, so our value of P equals 250. 250 kwacha. All right, so this is what consumers are paying, and this is what the producers are receiving, 250 kwacha. So here in our graph, say 250 kwacha. Right, now we're going to calculate the quantity, okay, the equilibrium quantity. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute 250 for P in any function which we choose. Both functions will give us the same answer. So we're going to substitute it into the demand function. So we're going to say QD equals 3000 minus 2. Right, so we're going to replace this P here with 250. So we'll put brackets in here to represent the 250. Right, 2 times 250, that's 500. So we're going to say 3000 minus 500 equals 2500. So that's the quantity, that's the equilibrium quantity, 2500. All right. Now, government has enforced a 10 kwacha per unit subsidy. All right. So now we're going to see how it's going to affect our supply curve, because remember, taxes and subsidies make the supply curve shift. So if taxes make supply curves shift upwards to the left, a subsidy is going to make the supply curve shift to the right. Tax makes it shift to the left, subsidy makes it shift to the right. So this is what we're going to do. So we've got a 10 kwacha subsidy that has been placed. Let me just make some space. All right. So we're going to write our functions again first. Say QD equals 3000 minus 2P. Now this P, we're going to write it as PB to represent the price that the consumers are paying. So we'll have 3000 minus 2PB. Okay, this is the price the consumers are paying. Then our QS, okay, is going to be 500 plus 8P, 8PS. So this PS represents the money that the suppliers are receiving, right? So the value of PS is going to be PS equals the price that the consumers are paying plus the subsidy which government has enforced, all right? And the subsidy which government has enforced is 10 kwacha. Okay, so it will be PS equals PB plus 10. So this equation here, we're going to substitute it for our PS in our supply function, all right? So we're going to have 500 plus 8, right? Then open brackets, PB plus 10. Remember, this 10 represents the subsidy, right? So let's just simplify this expression. So we're going to have 500 plus 8 times PB, that's 8PB, and 8 times 10, that's 80. Okay, then 50 plus 80, right? That's 580, 580, oops, 580 plus PB plus 8PB, right? This is our new supply function. So now we have to equate both functions to find our PB, the price the consumers are paying. Okay, so our new equation, what we're going to write is going to be this. We're going to say, let me just erase here. Right, we're equating both functions. So we're going to say 3000 minus 2PB equals 580 plus 8PB Okay, we put like terms together, so we take this 500 to this side, so it will be 3000 minus 580 equals 8 PB plus 2 PB. All right, so 3000 minus 580, we get 2420, right? 8 PB plus 2 PB, that's 10 PB, all right? To get the value of PB, we're going to divide both sides by 10, okay? So 10 divided by 2420, and our PB equals 242 kwacha. So PB equals 242 kwacha. So now the consumers are paying less. Okay, earlier on the consumers were paying 250 kwacha. Now they're paying 242 kwacha. All right. Let's find how much the suppliers are receiving. So remember, PS equals PB plus 10. All right. And our PB was 242, so we're going to say 242 plus 10, and we get 252, right? So now, remember the suppliers were receiving 250 kwacha, now they're receiving 252 kwacha, 252 kwacha, okay? So now let's find out what happens to the quantity, okay? So now the quantity, we're going to substitute this value PB equals 242. All right, we're going to substitute into our demand function, okay, which is this one, 3000 minus 2 PB here. Okay, we're going to substitute 242 with the value of PB, which is here. All right, so we're going to say 3000 minus 2 open brackets. We're going to substitute PB with 242, right? 242 times 2, that should give us 484. 484, all right? Then we'll say 3000 minus 484, and we get 2516. So get 2516. So the quantity has now increased from 2500, it's moved to 2516. 2516, right? You can also confirm, you can substitute PS, okay, which equals 252, and you're going to put it in your supply function. Remember, we said it was 500 plus 8, and you're going to substitute PS with 252. You're supposed to get the same value, 2516. So what happens is we're going to have a shift in our supply curve. Okay, we're going to have a shift, right? So here, all right. So let me accurately position these things. So this is our new equilibrium point, right? The the subsidy is represented by the vertical distance, okay, between both supply curves, right? So we'll go from here, we're going to go 10 units upwards, all right? 10 units upwards, okay? So our 252 is supposed to be located here, this part. This is where our 252 is supposed to be. Now, a tax brings revenue to government, but a subsidy is more like a cost to the government. So we want to find out how much has it costed the government, this subsidy which they've enforced, all right? How much has it cost the government? So basically we're just representing this region here, okay, this square here. Okay, so we know the height from 242 to 252, this is 10. Okay, we'll just use geometry to solve. All right, then the length is 2516, okay, from here to here. This is 2516. Okay, so we're going to say 10 times 2516. Okay, it's going to be 2000 25,160 kwacha. Okay, this is what it has costed the government. Okay, so remember the subsidy is represented here by this box I'm shading. Oops. Okay. So the price falls for the effect of the subsidy is that the price falls for the consumer. Okay, price falls for consumer, right? The revenues increase for the firms and the producers. All right. They'll remember they're getting 250 at first. Now with the subsidy, they're getting 252. Right? Even the consumers at first they're paying 250, but they're now paying 242, right? And then the quantity increases, right? Remember our equilibrium quantity at first was 2,500, but after the subsidy, it has increased to 2,560.